Good morning, everyone. Abigail Kluttz here from Olathe, Kansas. Happy to be with you today. I am starting my day off with some warm splashed in my new favorite mug. It says, sometimes the best teacup is chipped. How many people feel a little bit chipped? All right, we can work with that. So go ahead, let's take a minute real quick before we begin this call and head over to the Facebook page. Let's like, comment, share, and give it some love. If this is your first Zoom, we do action on the Zoom. We take action together. So it's always a good idea, if you can control it, to be at a desk, at a computer, so we're not driving and taking action. So Melissa Warner, don't take action. Thanks. Later. Do that. Oh, this is a good one. I collect these. Are you new to the keto conversation or have questions regarding how do I take Keto OS? Who needs to save that in their library right now? Yes, that is an amazing one to save in your little library of resources. This is awesome. Save it, guys. You'll want that. All right, then yesterday, oh my gosh, the splash sale, that went fast. Did anybody blink? That was amazing. I coached my team. I said, you know, I got a lot of rising champs right now, and I even heard from some COCs who didn't get any. I'm like, at this point in the game, all right, you have got to know, if we have been teasing a new flavor to come, you got to wake up, check your pulse, make sure all your notifications are on. If you're in a team group, look in there. As soon as that product flash sells, you have to pull the trigger. When we do flash sales, like, you have to train your team to pull the trigger, because anyone who says, I'll go back in an hour and get it, is then saying I missed it, okay? They can sometimes literally last 30 minutes or an hour or two, or, I mean, I've seen it gone in 20. So definitely that was a big one. So we'll be ready for the next one too, but definitely do that coaching with your teams. If you had people popping up saying they missed it, we teased it for 24 hours. It was coming. So let's get started here today. We had an unbelievable event in Dallas. I got the privilege of training with Brian James on environments that you can use to grow your Prove It business. And I love the training. How many of you got to take our workshop there on that Sunday? Awesome. Hey, Libby. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Mike. That's right. So this is something, I think next week I'm doing the calls, and literally I'm going to talk more about these environments next week. The biggest one for me, and I think for you, and I think that most people need to utilize more, is what we call the social. And with the holiday season coming up, I'm going to train big on how to optimize the social environment, because there's a big difference between using the social environment to grow your business and having a mixer. So we will talk about that and how you can really grow your market and your leads and your contacts through a social environment. But today, you know, and even in our workshop, we got so caught up with that. This is going to be a short call because I got hot yoga at 12, so we need to get out of here by 11:30. And I want to just really bullet in on that social. I mean, the mixer. Okay, how many of you have ever had a mixer before? Give me a raised hand. Okay, and I want to see this too. If this is your first time, there's a little button on the bottom and it's called the chat box. You can hit that and you can like interact and stuff. How many of you give me a 2 if you want to throw in a social, but you don't know where to begin? Oh, whoa. This is where you begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's throw socials. I mean, mixers. Oh, geez. I'm so excited about socials. It's all in my head. Mixer. Okay. What is a mixer? It's kind of like church, where two or more are gathered, the Holy Spirit will be there. Okay. It's two or more. It's even one. Okay. But a mixer has an outcome. All right. Next week, we'll talk about the social, but this is one of those where you are going to be intentional. This isn't, a private meeting where you're going in and you're going to maybe drop in the idea of exogenous ketones or, what you're doing. This has a hardcore, like, we are here to learn about therapeutic ketones. We are here to talk about the benefits of the conversation. We are here to bring value on teaching people the lifestyle and the community. So your mixer always has that outcome. Okay. It is a great way to build your local community. How many of you wish you had more of a local community? Many of you have teammates all across the country, and local community sometimes, and I'm like Katie Rollins yesterday, I'm more comfortable with strangers. I'm more comfortable outbounding there. And to have a mixer, I do think it's a little bit more of that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because you're building local community. You're calling people to come over to your house or meet you out at a coffee shop. But let me tell you, you can build a mighty community in a local community, okay? Because that's where you can, call over some teammates to come sit at your kitchen table and outbound with you on a Saturday morning and have a power hour together. Like, great business can happen when you start building local community. If you've got promoters in different states, it's like, you have to be very intentional about building the relationship and growing together through Zooms. So, but local community, I mean, it's pretty cool to have people 12 people sitting in your living room and moving their businesses forward together. And a lot of times that begins with the mixer environment. It's just, it's a fun, casual way to get out the brand. So, and we want, when they walk in, we want them to feel different. Okay. This isn't an opportunity meeting, and that's what people certainly don't want to go to. All right. So definitely, let's just get to the nitty gritties. We do have a handout, and, maybe after this call today, I know we had it in downloads. This is the first mixer handout, and we got it at Dallas. So hopefully we can get the download to it out in the Pulse today. So I'll hit that to Catherine later on. So, but the first step, okay, I'm just going to bullet through them, and I'm going to give you tips and tricks on things I've learned through failure. Okay. So, set your date, time, and location. It doesn't have to be in your home if you don't want to have people to your home. It could be 3 people at the local Starbucks, but set the time, date, and location. You want to engage on the sheet, they're backwards. You want to engage before you invite. And what I mean by engage is, I want to make sure that all the people showing up at my mixer have done just like the process in the Play That Works. I want to make sure that they've already watched the campfire video and that they know my outcome. They know my intention. They are coming in to learn more about therapeutic ketones. Okay. This isn't a sneaking anybody in type of thing. I want them to have, I want to have stoked the curiosity. I want them to have seen the campfire video. I want them to really even have checked out, maybe I'll send them a resource or 2 from the Inspire On campaign. Or I will in some way, shape, or form know what their pain point is and have already validated that belief in the engagement process, So if I have a woman that, or my neighbor next door, and I know that she is struggling with mental focus and maybe has 4 kids and feels just burned out on adrenal fatigue, maybe I would have already shared the Mitch Newman Inspire on Campaign story, because now all of a sudden, before I invite her, I've already got her interested. I've already got her wanting more. So the engagement process with those one-on-one connections of the people that you want to show up, it's super important that you've already built that rapport, their pain point, and you validated that you have something that they can come learn about that's going to help that. I think more often than not, people set a time date to a mixer, they skip the engagement process, they send out the invites, and nobody shows up. And then you're like, this doesn't work, right? Have you ever had a mixer and nobody showed up? So and it can be devastating, but it's not you, it's the process and maybe the biggest step that got skipped. It's very much like the play that works. Okay. If you don't feed into their needs, if you don't bring value, you're doing nothing but a transaction and people will run from you. So it's the same with inviting people into your mixer. What is it that they are coming to get out of it that they need? Your mom will maybe come and support you, but like if you're trying to get people there, they have to know what's in it for them. People will pay anything if they see a solution for a pain point in their life. Okay. So that engagement process comes before the invite. The invite, do not start a Facebook group invite and invite 100 people. Let's not be those people. Okay. I get so irritated when I get thrown in these makeup groups and these groups where then it's just spamming their products at me. Don't do that to people. Invite them. If you're inviting someone to your home, if you're inviting somebody to come have coffee with you, then be personal. Don't invite 50 people and hope 3 show up. Every single person that you want there, you be personal and you invite them. How many of you go to those things when you've been invited with 500 other people into an invite? Don't do that. Same with our events. If you want somebody to show up, do the engage process with them. Then here's where the Facebook invite is effective. When I have the commitment that I have, 3 friends coming to the mixer, like I see these pieces of hair just sticking out today and it's so wild, driving me nuts. So when I know I have the commitment from 3 friends that are coming, then we talked last week about recruit to invite and invite to recruit and the difference between that. If you missed that, go hit that replay because it's very effective with inviting people into mixers. So my invite to those 3 friends, instead of me having to invite 20 people, I'm getting a solid commitment from 3 people, okay? And to get a solid commitment in the invite process, what a tip is to divvy out responsibility. So if you have 3 friends coming to your mixer who you're excited to share the ketone conversation with, ask them, hey, I know that you've been, loving the high fat, low carb lifestyle. I know that you're making fat bombs at home. Would you mind making 10 fat bombs and bringing them with you on Tuesday night to my mixer? Or would you mind bringing some Dixie cups? Or, hey, I may have some people showing up that I don't know. And if somebody grabs me in the kitchen and starts talking to me, will you make sure that you're standing at the door and everyone who walks in, that you welcome them and come and introduce them to people? Will you be my happy greeter? So when you have that commitment from, 3 friends who say they'll come, now give them a responsibility, because it will avoid you getting that last minute cancel when they're just kind of lazy or tired. They will feel more committed. They will have more buy-in. It's the same thing if you're planning a big workshop If you're doing all the planning, nobody's like, and your promoters are saying they're going to help you. If you don't divvy out responsibility to people, they'll find a way to back out when the work actually comes. So it's the same thing with Mixer. You want to give people responsibility who have committed to you so that they'll show up. Now, in the invite, I say to those 3 people I have the commitment to, hey, do you have 3 friends that you could bring that night? And that is why the Facebook is good, is because then the committed can go invite and give my address. And I always make it a private secret thing so my address doesn't get out to everyone. But they can then invite, and I just say, hey, make sure you get your friend's commitment before you add them into that Facebook group. And then what I do is I trickle in information. After each friend has invited about 3 people, now I've tapped into their networks, and you see how I'm almost doing more business with the invite before the mixer than I'm actually doing at the mixer. Because once I then get them into the Facebook invite, I can trickle in the campfire video. I can trickle in an Inspire On campaign video. I can take put 3 pictures in there and say, hey, what fat bomb does everyone want to try? Hey, when you come to my house that night, what flavor do you think will be the winning sampler? But I can build that education and that knowledge up with the people that my committed people are inviting, so that whether they come or not, but they've been exposed. Okay. So that is what we talked about last week, that I'm always working through prospects, because whether they come and like it or not, maybe I got 3 of their friends eyes on campfire video and a 10-day out, and maybe they're not even coming. But planning the mixer date and then using that marketing around it can create more success. And then if 2 people show up, maybe you were in front of 15 in the process of throwing the mixer, and you've got more leads now to work with. So I just hate getting disappointed by numbers at a mixer. So that's why I implement that technique on the front end, and it's really the play that works, all leading into the mixer. So plan when you're throwing your mixer, if it's in your home, have music on and make sure you do have that happy greeter. If people come in feeling uncomfortable, scared, or awkward, they are not in an environment to receive. People buy when they're happy. People buy when they're comfortable. You want to make people feel good. You want them to hear what you're saying. And if they're feeling alone or awkward and you haven't introduced people around to each other or connected people, if there's not a high vibe energy going on at that mixer, it's not going to be successful. So turn on your music, put your happy face on, and have other people with intention making people feel comfortable. Prepare materials. Don't ever, ever, ever throw a mixer or a workshop or have any people show up anywhere without something that they can leave with in their hand. So the 2 things that I think want to use are in the back office under downloads that day or the day before. Send whatever download you want over to FedEx or Walgreens and get those printed out so that it's laying out with the visuals of the product when people walk in. You want the boxes out. You want little sample cups that they can sample the different flavors. Don't handicap yourself by overthinking it. Listen, if you don't have all 5 flavors, it doesn't mean you can't throw mixer. Okay, if you got 1 flavor, that's what you're serving. Don't overthink it and make yourself inactive because of all the worries. It's just a cool, chill environment. Do the best you can. Get people a taste. And if you really want to work this business, you do have enough product to put in 5 and 10-day experiences, and those are already pre-packed with your with maybe the hacker's guide printed out in them, and you're adding them to your regular 10-day follow-up or 5-day follow-up process the next day. Okay, if somebody comes to your mixer that you have that connection with and that you think would be a great promoter, it's a 24-hour follow-up to try and get a private coffee with them. So your mixer can sometimes be a pool you're fishing from, and your mixer is always putting people into the play that works situation from the time they leave. Your call to action after the mixer is that everybody walks out with a 5 or 10 day, 5 for 30, 10 for 60. And if you have other promoters promoting in with you, they bring their 5 and 10 days to give to the people that they're inviting with. One thing I'm very firm on is, if I invite another local promoter to my mixer, it's usually because they have a story or a testimony or a confidence, and they're going to add value to my mixer. What I don't let happen is have weekly mixers planned where all the same promoters are showing up, tasting the product and socializing and not bringing guests. There's no outcome to that. We can go have a local environment or a social with promoters, but for them to come into the home, drink the product, not add value, not move their business forward, and for me to be the host of it, opening my house and time up, that's not going to drive your business forward. So don't get caught in that mixer mode where you're seeing all the same promoters not bringing people into it. Just kick them out. Say, go do a mixer at your house and invite people you don't know. And if you want to hang out, we'll have a social environment where we can hang out. But I've seen mixers be abused and not have a great outcome in moving business forward. So, you can wear the conversation shirt. Listen, if you're brand new and you're scared that people are going to ask you questions you don't know, that's awesome. If you're brand new and you don't know anything, that's even more effective for your business. You can ask a COC or your coach to zoom in. I have some Canadians that consistently have mixers on Thursday night. They have the questions lined up before I zoom in on the call. It's literally a boom, bang, bang on, 3 or 4 questions. I direct answer them and they say, thanks for showing up. I get off and they close it up. So just line that up with your nearest coach to be and if people are asking questions during your mixer, jot them down and say, hey, we've got Selena coming in at the top of the hour. She's going to answer our questions. So make sure as we're, talking and sharing stories and talking about the product just with each other, we write down the questions so we can utilize her time when she zooms in. And it creates that open loop and that excitement to have somebody coming in to do that. So your job in hosting the mixer literally is samples, having the product available, having the printouts, and the one that I use is the one with Michael and Natalie on it in the downloads. It's how to take it, about ketones. It's a trifold. I use that for people to leave with. And then also what I would have you do is print out the Go Fast, where it's the Go Pro, Go MVP, Go All-Star. And I would have a couple of those sitting out. When I do a mixer, if I invite 1 or 2 other promoters to piggyback into inviting their people, then I always say, hey, the first hour we're going to have a mixer. And then afterwards, we're going to do 30-minute kind of team training on how to get the business up and running. Because if I'm opening up my home, the most effective way for growing my local environment is actually afterwards sitting with those true promoters, debriefing on how the mixer went and making sure that the next week they're scheduled to have theirs. Okay. If after you execute your mixer, your goal should be to execute the next week's mixer and put somebody else in that environment as the host. It literally is how Selena started her business. She was a nurse and she was doing mixer to mixer and mixer. It didn't matter if they were a customer or a prospect. She was inviting them to host the mixer, inviting their friends the next week for her to go in. And I've been in mixers in backwoods, small towns in old elementary school library. I've been to one in Canada where they had it in a high school foyer that night. Like, there's been ones in little just restaurants, little free hotel lobbies. Did one, Selena had me at a super Motel 8 in a dark, small little town one time at night. It doesn't matter where it goes, but you keep getting people to plan the mixer so it's consistent. So if you're really trying to grow, I did one on an airplane. Absolutely. You're just literally sampling the product, sharing the story, making sure pre or post eyes are on the campfire video, and then damning them to someone else to answer the questions. All right. I don't know if on the airplane you got one booked after that, but that needs to be executed. Don't throw one mixer and you have to have an event to invite into the event on. If you want to get up a local community, you have 3-4 weeks of mixer set that when this friend comes and she's a customer and she's excited, she can leave that mixer knowing that the next week she can go here and bring her 3 friends. If you don't have that environment backed on the back end, it's not effective and efficient for growing, because you can literally double your numbers, triple your numbers, and that's how it works. So we got that when you're doing the mixer, during the mixer, welcoming them, sharing testimonies, just shaking it up. I do love having fat bombs because it leads into a comfort of talking about the lifestyle. It makes it more than just product focused, and people get more value when they are exposed to the high fat, low carb world. And it's just a fun little thing to have there, but you don't have to. Don't go to one mixer that's absolutely freaking amazing, like Dr. Heather's, where she literally does these cute little labels and different recipes and has 8 different samples and a full table of keto spread. Like, guys, she loves that. It's her love language. It's her jam. Like, she's a hostess. She's a nurturer. She's detail oriented, and she has a team of women who love doing that with her. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want, like, my babysitter is going to lay out the boxes and help me shake it up, and like Selena has to still help me put the banners together. I'm not detailed. I don't love cleaning. But you know what? It's a piece of the business that I do, but I don't like look at someone else's mixer and say I could never do that. It's just a time to get people together and share the conversation and build relationships, and book another one from that. So then at the end of the night, to the mixer, am I going to miss my yoga class? Oh, we are 2 minutes. We are awesome. Then at the end of the night, you got to know where you're categorizing people. People are either going to hopefully leave with a 5 or 10 day, and that's what you want everybody who's a guest to leave with, is a 5 or 10 day. But go over where they can get in and fit in. So you tell them about, you can be a raving fan, and you can, be on Smart Ship. You can earn free product. You can, if you want to champion the conversation more, just stick around and you can be a part of our little promoter huddle we do each week after the mixer, and they can get exposed to that. That's so weird today. So, but give them the options of what they can be and how they can act with Prove It. Make sure at that mixer, you call them to action to go to their Facebook page and like the Prove It page, and make sure every single one of their phones has the notifications on and that it's first seen on their phone. If you have all these guests that are coming, then your goal is to get Prove It on their phones. So when they open it, it's in their news feed. So really that's during the mixer. And like I said before, at your mixer, you're looking for those potential teammates. And if you think you got one, you schedule a private meeting in the next 24 hours. You don't expect people to follow up with you. If you aren't following up after your mixers, it's like doing a booth with no follow-up sheet. Like people are just going to leave it. All right. You have to be intentional. If they're a customer or they took a 10-day, you're into the play that works after that mixer with the 10-day, but let people know before they leave where they can get in and fit in. So not hard. Don't overthink it. If you want to go on YouTube and type in Prove It Mixer, there's some videos with Michael Rutherford and Dustin Schaefer. They're poolside, and they just kind of talk about the product and mixer. You could play that even if you wanted to, but I would say really just focus on having a good story there from either a customer or a promoter, and sharing that. If you don't have that, Zoom in someone. And if you don't have anyone who's on the product and you're brand new, then show up. Show up and sample, and get somebody on a 10-day and bring them to the next mixer to talk about the 10-day. If you don't start with yourself and then another person, then you have no business to grow anyway. So don't want to leave on that. That sounded harsh, but that's it. Does anybody have any questions they want to put in the chat box real quick? So let's call to action, okay? Did everybody that was at the workshop when we ended booked their mixer? So what I want you to do today, okay, is get together with anyone in your local environment or just yourself if you don't have anybody there yet. But, maybe take a picture or just hashtag mixer. Like hashtag mixer on something today, or like a post being excited to do a first mixer, or, get on a Zoom with your local team and literally everybody plan the date of your mixer. That's the first step. For all of you who put 2s on there, could you plan it today? Could you put it on the calendar? Because if you don't, it's not going to happen. You're going to stay in that 2 zone. So if you put a 2 on there, something you wanted to do but you've never done, I want to see 1s if you commit to planning the date and location and time today. Give me a 1. There we go. Danielle, awesome. Megan, awesome. All right, so I have those 1s. I have your commitment. You know what you could even do is put the date on a Facebook post in the color thing, nice and big. November 21st, hashtag mixer. Let's show each other it's done. We are no longer 2s. We are action takers. We are moving forward. We are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1-ing. I'm going to do it today too, because I need to plan one. So I'll do it. And now I'm going to go to yoga. All right, y'all have a great day. Join us back here tomorrow. I don't even know who it is, but I know it's going to be awesome. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Abigail.